Namaste, I'm Joydeep Mukherjee. Today I am with you for a special class on writing skill. Therefore, today I have decided to talk about 4 skills of language. This is an elemental process to learn any language, to acquire the quality of language. And to acquire the language, to catch the ability of language, we need to have 4 skills. We need to undergo 4 skills. These are important steps. Let's go. For this, I have made a PPT. There are 11 slides. So one by one, I will take those slides so that you can have an understanding. At the same time, through the slide, you can have a conviction of the ideas that I'm going to share with you. So there are 4 skills. Before that, we have to understand what is language. What is language? In my slide, especially the second one, I have talked about 3 definitions. The first 2 talks about the real definition in terms of the critics. And the last one, I have talked about my own observation about language. The first one, it looks like this. Language is the expression of ideas by means of speech sounds combined into words. Words are combined into sentences. This combination answering to that of ideas into thought. It is said by Henry Sweet. He is a linguist. The critics, the people, wise people, those who are dealing with language, they are called linguists. So what he says over here, language is the expression of ideas. True it is, whatever you have inside, that you are giving an expression through language. By means of speech sounds, I have talked about sounds, everything that you are saying, everything that you are sharing, you are venting out with the help of speech sounds. Sounds talks about consonantal sounds, vowel sounds combined into words. And these speech sounds, they make a word. And words are combined into sentences. So when you are placing these words side by side, you are going to make a sentence. What is sentence? Sentence, there is a finite verb and it makes a complete sense. This combination answering to that of the ideas into thought. Somehow the ideas getting transferred into thought by this entire process. So this is going to be a definition of Henry Sweet. Next, I have talked about that it is a technology. If you go through the books of Professor Avdesh Kumar Singh, he is an eminent professor. Recently he died. So he said that language is a technology. And what's the purpose that he has shared such kind of definition about technology, about language? Is it something like this? That whenever you are talking in front of a microphone, what's the need of that microphone? Why is it necessary? Because microphone, it catches your sound and ultimately throws to the audience who are actually looking forward or looking towards you. So it's a technology. Microphone is a technology. You can also speak and they can listen, but there is a vacuum. There is a difference. There is a distance because of which your speech sounds cannot reach to them. Ultimately, what happens through this technology, this speech sound is thrown towards the audience. So therefore, microphone becomes a technology. Similarly, if you think like this, emotions are always inside. Our heart is considered to be the storehouse of emotions, but there is no channel. There is no channel. There is no way out. So if these emotions want to get an escape from that storehouse, definitely it needs a radiation, it needs a medium. So technology is going to be medium. So here in that case, language is going to be the technology through which you are channelizing your emotions. So therefore, I have just shared that it is like a microphone that bears the speech sounds to the audience. And the third one, it's my own observation about language, my own experience, what I have felt about language. It's a process of selection. What kind of selection? It's a language that tells you, no, not this one. You want this one, the other one. I have taken a simple example. Suppose you need a pencil. Before you share this idea to any person, you need to have a clear differentiation, a distinction in your mind that what is a pen, chalk, marker, sketch pen, highlighter. So these are all similar things used for writing. These are all instruments for writing. But after all, you need a pencil, which is exactly different. Considerably, these things are different from a pencil, but you need a pencil, not a pen, chalk, marker, sketch pen, and highlighter. So language is all about a selection. What exactly you need, what exactly you are trying to explore or express. For that, you need to have a sense of knowledge, distinction. And language system, it gives you that opportunity, rather that skill to differentiate things. So this is all about the definition of language. Next, I will go to the third slide. So to acquire the language system, to capture the essence of language, you need 4 skills. Skills, the term talks about your excellence, your brilliance. At the same time, it talks about dexterity. You can check the word dexterity in dictionary. In Bangla, we can call it dokkhota. You need to have these things so that you can be a master of any particular language. Skills are divided into 2, macro skills and micro skills. Macro skill talks about, macro, the word talks about that big, large, and micro talks about small, little. So macro skills and micro skills. Macro skills are divided into 4. The first one is listening, second speaking, third reading, and fourth writing. So writing is at the top. If you make a structure, if you make a ladder of skills, the ground floor talks about listening, first floor speaking, third floor reading, and the top floor is writing. So top floor talks about your destination. It's a destination. So if you want to acquire, if you want to be a master, if you want to be an adept person in language, you have to reach to that destination at the top of the skills, that is writing. So through these steps, namely listening, speaking, reading, you have to reach to the destination, that is writing. And micro skills. Micro skills are minor things, but these are also elemental, very, very essential, like grammar, accent, pronunciation, handwriting. So grammar is very important because it's connected to writing. Accent, pronunciation, these things are related to your speaking. Handwriting, it's related to writing. Not only your writing, your handwriting also catches attraction of the readers. And listening, to listen, you need to be patient. You have to be observant. What words these people are sharing. Suppose if you're in a class, you have to be very observant. You have to be a sheer observer that what words the teacher is selecting or distilling to give a shape of an idea. So these things, if you put very minute attention, you will be able to catch the essence of the language, and ultimately it will be instilled unconsciously in your mind. It will be installed in your mind without your consciousness. Next goes speaking. So the moment you are listening, you become very much experienced with listening. Automatically that gets transferred into speaking. Take a biological definition. A child is able to speak when he or she is of 8 months, 9 months, or 10 months. It depends. But after all, my point is that a child takes that much time to understand the language, to acquire the language. It's a biological process. Therefore, these 8 months or 9 months, the child listens to the language. It listens to her parents or his parents, relatives. And ultimately, after 8 months or 9 months, it gets transferred into speaking. The child can speak a little bit. Now, when the child grows up, he starts reading. And reading gives an insight. That insight helps write. So these are the processes. Next, we will go to the fourth slide. Little bit distinction about these 4 skills. Listening and speaking are termed as receptive skills because you are receiving something and you are responding. So therefore, in bracket, I have written in and out. In means the moment somebody is listening, somebody is telling something, you are listening. It means it's an inward process. And the moment you are speaking, you are giving an answer to that person. It is outward process. Therefore, I have written in and out. This has another name, direction of communication. Direction means the speech that is directed to somewhere else. The communication, it is communicated and it leads to a direction. So therefore it is called direction of communication. Especially listening and speaking, these two skills are called direction of communication. And the rest, the other two, reading and writing, are named as productive skills. Productive means the moment you are reading somebody, any text, any novel, any poem, maybe physics, maybe geography, anything that you are reading, it puts an insight. It creates a knowledge inside. It imparts knowledge. And with that knowledge, you are trying to nourish yourself. You are trying to lead yourself to a development, psychic development. Therefore, it's productive, and definitely writing is going to be the output of that productivity. Reading gives you an insight. Reading unfolds you several horizons, several outskirts of the same subject, and ultimately when you get tinged with any of the ideas, ultimately you start writing with that idea and you flourish that idea within your own self or in the form of writing. So therefore these two skills are going to be productive skills, and in bracket I have written into inside. It is not outside. It goes outside. Once the work gets over, it gets finished, it reaches to different readers. But after all, it's a process into inside. The moment you are reading, you are taking things inside. And the moment you are writing things, again it becomes inside. Why? Because it gets a profound identity inside. It reaches to the depth, unfathomable depth, immeasurable depth. And the other name of these two skills is method of communication. Next, we will move to our next slide, relation among the skills. These four skills, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, these four skills are arranged chronologically based on their dependency. By dependency, I have meant that it depends each one another. Let's take an example. Listening does not depend on any particular skill because you are the first learner of the language. For an example, when I went to Gujarat, for the first time, when I was in Gujarat, I did not know how to speak. I did not know how to read. And writing is beyond imagination. So what did I do first? I listened to them. So listening starts. Therefore, listening does not depend on speaking, reading, and writing. Speaking, I have already shared this idea, that biological concept, that the moment you listen for 2 years, maybe 1 year, if you're a good observer, you can quicken your process of learning. So when that thing is done, you can speak. The moment you can speak, you will start gradually recognizing the akshar. Ultimately, what happens? You'll be able to read. So speaking is depending on listening. If you listen properly, you'll be very quick to speak. Then comes reading. Reading also depends on listening and speaking. Until and unless you listen, you will not be able to speak. Until and unless you speak, you will not be able to read. At last comes writing. Writing needs all these three skills together. And therefore, we reach to a pinnacle of perfection. Writing means you can write well. It means you have mastered on the language. You have a mastery on the language. You have excellence. So therefore, you can excel your quality, your skills, and therefore you can write. So the moment you become a writer, it talks about you are the master of the language. You can dominate the language. So reading, so therefore I have written that based on the dependency. And therefore 1, 2, 3, 4, it's like this. It's arranged in this form. Now writing skill. I have just shared that to reach to that level of perfection, you need to have one skill, whether you can write or not. Suppose, if I'm a non-Bengali, if I come to West Bengal, definitely you are not expecting that I'm able to write at first. It is the expectation that I'll be able to listen, I'll be able to understand what people are saying around. Next, I will speak, and it is the expectation that I will read so many books, and from that books, there will be a recognition. My eyes will get matched up with the akshar, words, sentences, and ultimately I'll be able to write a little bit. And the moment you just polish on that particular language, you will be a good writer. So Francis Bacon, in his essay of studies, has rightly remarked, reading maketh a fool man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. That is what exactly I have said. Writing talks about exaction, perfection, proficiency. You become proficient the moment you can write. And the last, in that slide, the last one talks about writing the top of the ladder of 4 skills. That is what I have already shared, that it is at the top. If you make a ladder, so ground level is listening, first floor speaking, second floor reading, and the top floor is writing. Is the most difficult. Why is it so difficult? Writing is the difficult. You are in school, maybe in college, maybe university, but if you face some difficulties, some obstructions with writing, simply it means that you are not able to digest the other 3 skills. So you need to digest the other 3 skills to be a master on writing. It's the most difficult because it amalgamates. Amalgamate means you need to have a complete mixture. The other 3 to produce an organic whole. Organic means completely it happens biologically. You don't have to be very much forceful. It is not a forceful attempt. It's not a compelling situation that you have to do like this. It will come automatically. Therefore, organic. Organic means it's a biological process. Today you have planted a sapling. If you water it, automatically fruits and flowers will come out. Flowers and fruits will come out. You don't have to force it. And even you force the tree will not listen to you. So you have to wait. When time ripes, it will produce its productions, its fruits. So organic whole. So therefore, if you're able to digest properly the other 3 skills, you are going to be a perfect person and you are going to be an organic whole. You are complete within yourself, complete in itself, without anybody's dependency. So that's all about writing skill. Next, we will move to the next slide. Now, the obvious question is, why do I write or we write? In bracket, I have written a word that's a French word. Écriture. Écriture means, in French, écriture means writing. This question is very curious question, an essential question, fundamental question rather, because every time we can ask a question, sir, there is YouTube, there is Messenger, there is Instagram, Twitter, so we can post anything. We can record our voice and we can post it everything. So therefore, why should I write? Because it's a wastage of time. It's a genuine question. Very modern question rather. But this question is related to a greater concept. That concept is called existentialism. And this existentialism is innovated, or this vogue was introduced by a French writer, Jean-Paul Sartre. The pronunciation is Jean, not Jean. Jean-Paul Sartre. He wrote an essay, Why Write? He has dealt the exact question that we have shared just now, that why do I write? What do I mean by existentialism? In the next passage, I have tried to simplify the word existentialism. You can understand, in the word existentialism, there is the word exist. It's a struggle of existence, what Darwin said in his book in 1859. So we have to exist by doing something. And if you try to immortalize your name, you have to do something. We are mortals. We are mortals. Means one day we will die. But you may physically die. But mentally and physically, if you want to be present in this world, you have to do something. And through your productivity, through your creation, you can be an immortal figure in this world. That is what this existentialism says. Jean-Paul Sartre has mentioned in his essay, Why Write? That God, anybody who you believe in, some people may not believe in God, but there is a supreme power behind this creation of nature and the cosmos, this world, wonderful world. But there is a power that has created this. So that person is still mortal, not mortal, immortal. Why? Because there is a special creation. Think about Leonardo da Vinci, Mona Lisa. Leonardo da Vinci is not there. Pablo Picasso, not there. Rabindranath Tagore, not They are not there in this world physically, but they are very much immortal. Day before yesterday, we had celebrated Rabindranath Tagore's birthday. This is 159th birthday of Rabindranath Tagore, but he is not there. So what makes us feel that no, we have to celebrate? So it means that Rabindranath Tagore is very much present in our minds, even though he is not physically present in this world. You can understand that it's a struggle of existence that everybody has. Everybody has to face this challenge. And the moment you try to overcome, the moment you try to infringe that problem, what happens? You have to create. And Rabindranath Tagore, Leonardo da Vinci, anybody, maybe Einstein, maybe Newton, they are still alive in this world because of their creations. Therefore, the concept of progeny means actually children, is very relevant. And therefore, children, it's also a special creation by the parents, human generation. Otherwise, generation would have been gone from this world. So the question of existence comes in our minds, and therefore we produce children. It's a production. Again, it really sounds a little bit harsh, but it's true. So what did I write over here? Just to check, if I or we die today, at this moment, my or our children will carry on my or our seed of generation. And therefore you write. So this is actually a writing. You are also writing. It's a creation. So what Sartre has mentioned in his book, in his concept Existentialism, is that if you create something, if you can create something, in this mortal world, you are going to be mortal. That's the theory of existentialism in the form of simplification. We'll go to the next slide. I have talked about some metaphoric writing. Metaphoric and literal, there are two words. Literal means dictionary meaning, and metaphoric is beyond dictionary meaning, beyond physics, outwardly meaning. That is metaphoric writing. So just I have initiated this idea, but here we will clarify with the examples. Here are some interesting examples of writing and the writer. So in the previous slide, we have just mentioned that if you can create something, through creation, you can be alive. You can sustain your name and fame in this world. So here are some interesting examples of writing and the writer. So nature is created by a supreme power. Those who believe in God, Allah and Christ, they will think they are the creators. There are some people in the world that do not believe, they are atheist. So they do not believe in any form. Therefore, there is a spirit. Therefore, I have mentioned any spirit behind cosmos. Whichever spirit that has created this nature, this beautiful world, this is their writing. So therefore, we always worship the supreme power. So nature is the writing and the supreme power is the writer. Similarly, culture is the production, is the writing piece, and nature is the writer. From nature, from Prakriti comes culture, Sanskriti. So if culture gets obliterated from this world, nature will stay. So nature is the writer. Children by parents. Parents produce children. So children are the pieces of writing by parents. So parents are the writer. Similarly, works by artists. It can be writing, it can be painting, it can be an invention, anything like this. Works by artists. So works, piece of writing, and artists, the writers. So this is metaphoric writing. So the moment we are talking about writing, it's not always related to pen and paper. It's not an examination that you are too much related with pen and paper and you are writing something and you have to be a novelist, you have to be a poet. It's not like this. So when we talk about writing, except this writing skill, writing talks about something that you create, you innovate, you produce something new, something unique, something very strange in this world that the world has witnessed. And therefore, it creates a wonder in their minds. And therefore, because of such creation, you are very much alive in this world. That's the concept. Next, we will go to the next slide. Practical purpose of writing. In our previous slides, I had asked a question. We had a question, the curious question. It puts an incentive that what's going to be the practical purpose of writing. I have given a simple list. Let's just check. Share our thoughts, feelings, and ideas without technology. Go back 20 years. There was no technology, no YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. They used to write letters to share their ideas. There was no internet connection. So through post, they used to send their letters and it's going to be only communication. And we are very much successful to do this. So therefore, writing becomes an important medium to share your thoughts, not only in your particular area, but beyond that. Second talks about master on other skills. So the moment you can write, it means that you have excelled in other three skills, therefore you can write so well. Express our deep-seated thoughts. I have already shared this idea, just I'm referring again, I'm repeating once again. Something which is very much deep-seated. You are not able to share with anybody, but through writing you can do it. Sometimes people do not want to listen to you for long. So what's the process? That you have to melt down your emotion, otherwise it's torturing you. It's pressurizing you. It impinges you all the time. So what you have to do, you have to write out. So therefore, through writing, you are melting, or your emotions get melted. So therefore, you express your deep-seated or our deep-seated thoughts. Next, convey a power-packed communication without the slightest chance of miscommunication. It's true. So whenever we are writing something, everything is clear and clear. Which word, which sense. So therefore, it provides a power-packed communication, very powerful communication, meaningful communication without the slightest chance of miscommunication. So the moment you are writing something, there is no chance of miscommunication. Suppose, I think you know it, that in a criminal case, when there is any investigation, people come and people tell them that you have to write what exactly had happened. Suppose 6 people are related to an incident, very critical. Investigation committee, they have gone to each and every person and they have told them that you have to write one version. And the moment they will collect 6 papers of their own versions, they will tally it. If there is no miscommunication, they are believed, otherwise they are punished. So while you are writing something, there is no chance of miscommunication. But once I'm speaking something, sometimes we have seen that you are fumbling. You have started with one clause, but you have immediately changed it. You have gone to another. You are diverting time to time. So it creates huge problem. And ultimately, the real message can drop in between. And therefore, there is a huge chance of miscommunication. And miscommunication leads always to negative aspects. Next one, document things as evidence. True it is. Suppose I'm in a school. Today, what things I have taught, if I write everything that this page, this class, this time, this slot, after 1 month, if somebody tells me that on this day, what did you do? I can show him or her a clear picture that this is what I had done. So it shows an evidence. It's a proof that this is what I had done. So writing talks about documentation. Last one, restore and preserve things as future reference. Now there is a difference between these 2 points, evidence and reference. Suppose evidence, I have talked about that, it talks about a proof. But there are some cases where you do not need any proof. It's only for yourself, but it's for ready reference. Suppose you have gone to Sikkim and there is a lake, the name of the lake is Khechi Peri Lake. After 10 years, when you try to remember that lake, you are not getting the name of that lake. But if you have any piece of picture or any diary where you have written that on this day, this time we had visited Khechi Peri Lake, around the lake, there were a huge number of birds and travelers. So ultimately from that picture, you are getting the name Khechi Peri Lake. So it refers to that, just for an example. So it restores and preserves things as future reference. If you do not write, you are not getting the reference of the things that you have already lost. You cannot catch hold in your memory. So by and large, these are the major points, but there are several points we can have a discussion. Next slide, the common problems, the problems we face to write. These are the major problems, and there are some minor problems. We have to be very much cautious about these problems, because actually I have made this session to make you perfect as far as I can do for you, so that you can write well without having any interpretation, any tension, any anxiety. That is what the aim is. And therefore, These problems are the major problems that we have to overcome, and ultimately if you can overcome, you are going to be a perfect writer. That talks about the mastery, the excellence, dexterity, and the brilliance, and adept person on that particular language system. What are major problems? Organize the thought process. Sometimes you are thinking too much. But you are not getting a shape. How to organize, how to start, how to finish, what things I should put in the middle so that it looks fine. So chronology becomes a problem because you are thinking too much. To shape them, to organize them into a pattern, it becomes a huge problem. So we have to make a plan before that. Next, shape them into ideas through words. Sometimes it happens that you get an idea, but you have to shape, you have to put into a figure with the help of words, but you are not getting words. So you have to be very choosy and selective. You need to have huge volume of words. You need to be a dictionary, moving dictionary in your own mind. So whichever word you are trying to get, immediately within a flash, that word will come to you, so that you are not chasing the word will chase. Next, channelize the ideas without diversion. You are telling one story and in between another story comes in. Ultimately, the message is dropped. So you have to channelize. So this channelization is an important role that we have to learn before we write. Select exact word for appropriate expression. You have to be very selective. Each and every word has its own essence, has its own nuances. We have to be very specific about that. Very specific. Good, nice, better. If somebody says that, how is he? Will you say that he is better man? If you say the better man, it doesn't suit. The expression doesn't get a proper shape. He's a good person or he's a nice man. But the moment you say that a better man, this sentence looks little bit awkward, peculiar. So you have to be very much specific about your words. Next, construct them with the help of grammar. Grammar is very essential. You have to follow the rules. You have to abide by grammar. Without grammar, it's not possible. Let me frame it this way. The moment you are trying to construct a house, bricks are the main important things, ingredients. But to join those bricks, you need cement. To connect these two bricks, you need cement. Similarly, if you want to connect two words, you need a connection. So grammar is the cement. You need that cement to construct these two bricks. So these are major problems. And what are the minor problems? Spelling mistakes, punctuation, handwriting. So these are the minor mistakes. If you're already okay with these three, you can work upon your spelling mistakes, punctuation, and handwriting. So these things, basically these are also, punctuation is also connected to grammar, but especially there are a few things, semicolon, colon, comma. Somehow if you make a distraction, if you make a slight mistake, it doesn't make much difference. Therefore, you have to be very much conscious about major problems and minor problems. And finally, the last slide. If you can reach to that status, if you become a perfect writer, while you are writing, if you feel that there is no problem to write, you are quite okay, you are fine, smoothly you can move. It's a swift journey. In the process of writing, you do not face such major problems. Definitely, you are going to be Raymond the gentleman. This is our aim, to be Raymond the gentleman. It's a funny one. I have put it in this way so that you can feel that, okay, it's not only the Raymond, the dress, the cloth, that makes you a gentleman, but at the same time writing, the power of creation, that is perhaps the perpetual thing that makes you eternal in this world. Thank you very much. In our next sessions, we will talk about grammar. So we were going to make things like this so that we can reach to the final status of a writer. Thank you very much. If you have any problem, please jot down, and I hope this PPT, at the same time the voice, will clarify the doubts inside. Thank you very much.